Hey, welcome to another episode of the Art of Relationship Show, people. Going to be kicking off the show in just a little bit after a few little tweaks. Want to make sure that live is going through and technical issues are not in place. So I want to make sure everything is okay. Hopefully everybody is doing good, okay? As I'm fighting off allergies, which is normal, okay? So hopefully everybody's doing okay. And what is happening in today's world that's going on with you? And when we look at the world around us, we see a lot of hypocrisy, but a lot of people don't view, excuse me, allergies kicking off, coughing all over the place, okay? We do not sort of look at hypocrisy and double standards in relationships and love life. And I'm going to touch on a few that, let's face it, might bother you, might piss you off, and hopefully will make you look in the mirror and to be able to say, you know what? Do I really do that? Do I want to stack the deck in my favor? Most of us do, but is that being selfish or is that part of the human element? So, don't go anywhere. We're going to kick off the Art of Relationship show right after this, okay? After this intro. So don't go anywhere. And we're back live, everybody. Welcome to the Art of Relationship show. Hopefully everybody's doing okay. As I always mention, join in the live chat down below. Share the episode on your timeline, a page, wherever you're viewing it. I want to try to help as many people out there as possible with their love life, their marriage, their relationship, and yes, intimacy, sexual satisfaction, fulfillment as well, okay? I'm your host, as always, Greg Dudzinski. I'm a fully licensed professional counselor here in Metro Detroit, Michigan. Woohoo! Tigers sort of are blowing right now, but hopefully they'll kick it back around. The Lions are coming up soon, too, so that's good. Anyways, I'm a relationship and sex specialist, have been for next month. August will be 23 years. So hopefully everybody's doing okay. And I do have a lot of grief, a lot of trauma experience working with kids, teen, rape survivors as well. All over the place, combat vets, you name it. I'm not bragging, not at all. I'm very humble that people reach out for help. And I'm always flattered to try to help as many people out there as possible. So that's a little bit about me, and we're going to be talking about hypocrisy in your love life, in relationships / marriage, okay? Excuse me. And this is where I want people to understand and look at, the reality of love relationships. A lot of people look at double standards. A lot of people don't take accountability, but I also want you to look at hypocrisy in your own life, in your own relationship, if there is any that exists, right? Double standards. And when we look at double standards, right, the guy, we'll say stereotypically, guy pays the bills, right? All the bills. So he's supposed to get sex whenever he wants, right? That's the deal, right? If you're not giving me any, why am I paying all your bills and whatever? What use do I have for you? And the lady is like, yeah, I wanted you to take care of me financially. However, that doesn't mean I'm going to give it up, right? So when we talk about hypocrisies, and I'm going to throw a little thing out there I shared. I shared this. I can't remember where it came from. But I'm going to throw this out there, and this gives a huge rendition of what I'm talking about. And I shared this on social media earlier today. And if you can read it, and I'll read it, the irony is that some men will use money to attract women, but hate gold diggers. And some women use their bodies to attract men, but hate being viewed as sex objects, right? And that's what I have on there. And talking about hypocrisy, right? And talking about that type of situation, that women will use their body to get men, but don't want to be viewed as sex objects. And, men, getting women for their money, but hate gold diggers, right? That's what I'm talking about, double standards and hypocrisy, that type of situation. And we're also looking at how many women get into the sense of, and this is a woman, men, it's not a gender issue, they hate men that have sugar babies, right? And hate women that are sugar babies. And oh my God, she's getting all this. But then that woman is married in a relationship and they're having all their bills paid for. And I'm looking at, well, wait a minute. Why are you any different than that sugar baby or sugar daddy situation? And a lot of people, it's sort of ironic. They will, oh my God, it's love. It's not that way. Well, really, is it? Would you be with your person if they stopped paying all your bills? Would you? Well, they're doing that out of love, right? So that's where I call out a lot of hypocrisy. And a lot of situations will call people out left and right? Like a lot of people look at our, situation. You know what? There's no such thing as an ugly rock star or an ugly millionaire or billionaire, right? So you look at the situations about, what are in your life is sort of hypocritical, right? Say a man wants a lady to be a stay-at-home wife, mother, whatever. And, oh, you know what, wants that, and she's supposed to take care of all that, but also do whatever I want. You get me? Looking at control freak. Or, hey, you know what, I want a man to pay, all my bills, but he's not going to tell me ever what to do. What? Huh? What? I'm not into control freaks. I'm not into those situations at all. But then you're looking at, stacking a deck in your favor, and what are your expectations? And as people know me, clients know me, I love to be direct. I have a lot of compassion, a lot of empathy for people in general, but I'm also very direct in calling people out when there's a lot of hypocrisy or double standards, right? Say a man can, go out with his buddies, come home 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, right? And his lady needs to be okay with that. But if she goes out and does the same thing, he flips shit. You get me? I can't believe that. I'm a man. I'm different. And I'm looking at, hey, I'm a man too. What do you mean you're different? These are about double standards and hypocrisy in your love life and your relationship. And looking at that and how many people can own and sort of account to or attest to hypocrisy. And A.B. Dealey, hey, what's up? I think that's how you say it. I apologize if I butchered your name. But join in the chat. Don't join in the chat down below, people. And I'd love to hear your take on that. And how many people look at, you know what? Yeah, there is a double standard, right? A man can do this, but a woman can't. Or I'm a woman. I'm allowed to do this, but my man better not be able to do that. And this is about the power dynamics, which I'm not about in relationships, right? It's about mutual trust, about mutual consideration, about not having double standards in a relationship, right? Excuse me. So looking at that, what areas in your current life or in your past relationships, were there double standards, mutual respect, right? And I talked about this, what does a woman want? Why do you hate I don't hate Superman, right? Not at all. So these are situations. I haven't seen the movie yet, talking about Superman, giving them a plug. My better half has seen it and said it was really good. So, but I don't hate Superman. But looking at the situation, and I talked about what do women want last week. So check that out on YouTube at LoveGuruGreg. And while you're at it, please like and subscribe. wherever you're listening on social media, okay? I should have had banners up there as well to kick it up. Maybe I will. So, but that's where I want, the hypocrisies in your relationship, and what does that look like, and, what does that, are you able to do that? Are you able to look at what is happening and what is going on? And you know what? Kick that up. Kick up what happens in your relationship to be able to center on, is there hypocrisy? Is there double standard in your relationship? Okay. And this is not a, one size fits all, not at all. Okay. But that's where I want people to understand and look at what's happening in their relationship and what's going on around them, okay? Do I have double standards? Hey, May, what's happening? Pixie Dust, what's going on? So please, join in the live chat, throw your comments out there, and I'll read them. Anything I can do to read them. Brendan, what's happening? So, in your area, it's looking at stacking the deck in your favor, which I'm not about, right? We all are in a relationship because we want something out of it. But then the issue is when we sort of ignore what we want, we don't admit what we want out of a relationship. But then when people look at us, I'm not that way. And I talked about the gold digger situation, right? About a woman, a lot of women will bash sugar daddy, sugar mama. We joke around, I'd love a sugar mama. I'd love a sugar daddy type of situation. People might joke around about it, but they'll bash those people in those situations, but then they're getting all their bills taken care of, right? They're like, oh, it's different because I love that, whatever. And that's when I said about double standards, but a lot of people look at things different. Oh, it's different because, I love him. I love her. So it's different. It's not a sugar daddy, sugar baby situation or sugar mama, sugar whatever, sugar mama, sugar baby, male situation, if you will. I had a brain fart thinking about what that is. Okay. So, you have to look at the situation in your relationship. What other situations are double standards, right? I gave an example about a man staying out all night. Hopefully, thinking his woman needs to be okay with that. I'm the man. You're not my mom. It's about mutual respect and common courtesy. But if a woman did that, he would flip script, right? He'd flip shit. Let's be honest. So, and same thing with cheating, about hypocrisy, right? When men, they might cheat 2-3 times. I'm just using this as an example, and not all men cheat, not all women cheat. They're about equal now, statistically stating. They're pretty close to equal now, and there's some bias out there as well. But listen out, people, when you explore cheating, okay? I get people, and I'll ask the man that gets caught cheating once, twice, whatever. What happens if your lady cheated? Well, I'd be done. Now do you understand the hypocrisy you're revealing, and you know what? You're trying to subject your partner to, meaning you want her to forgive you for cheating maybe multiple times, but you would be done if your lady cheated on you. That's hypocrisy. That's double standards. Well, it's different. I'm a man. No, I don't get into that. Or I hear this, Greg, I'm a woman. No, I'm not. I call people out on being double standards, but also aligning and directing your expectations and your rules for your relationship or marriage to each other, right? And I'd love to hear, again, chime in down below what your view is hypocrisy. And we look at the glass ceiling about the business world, right? How many women execs, which there's a lot more now than there ever have been. Woohoo, right? Go women. But before, there was a lot of hypocrisy, right, about women. You know what? They can't hold certain jobs, or certain jobs are for women. Like elementary school teachers. Oh, those are only for women. But then men, right? About male figures, that they're important as well in child development, right? So that's where I want people to be able to look at, the double standards, the hypocrisy that is set up for double standards. And we could get on a soapbox, right, about what's happening in this administration. Yeah, I just rolled my eyes. In the White House, all the double standards, they might be able to break rules left and right, but nobody else better, right? Or you make up stuff and call out people for doing the same thing you did, but don't look at me, look at over here. It's the hypocrisy about the meme out there that a lot of people will look at. You have, say, the billionaire with a plate full of cookies, and, you have two people less fortunate, a lot less fortunate. They have a cookie, and then, each have one cookie. Billionaire has a plate full of cookies, and telling each one, hey, look out, they might steal your cookie. You get me? So that's how you stir the stuff in about hypocrisy and double standards. We see it all over the world, but do you have it in your relationship? Do you have it to where you have different rules because you're a man versus you're a woman, right? Now, we go out, cut the grass, water grass, whatever. Man can go out without a shirt on, but if a woman goes out without a shirt on, that's an issue, right? Why is that? Looking at those type of situations because of the sexualization of it, right? And not saying it's right, wrong, that type of situation. It's looking at what other rules are hypocritical out there in the world and in your relationship, in your marriage, right? Say, one of you can go out and spend whatever, buying clothes, maybe sporting goods, maybe hobby stuff, whatever it is, right? But the other one better not go out and spend money on getting nails done or getting their hair done, which I never do, right? And also looking at, stuff like that. Oh, it's okay for me to buy this car, but you're not going to get this car either. I'm looking at the rules and the hypocrisy. And again, I don't make the rules in a relationship or marriage. You do. But I also want you to look at the double standards and what is going on. And the double standards, they're all over us, right? Staying out late. What about, hey, it's okay for men to go on a men's golf trip or see, spend a weekend watching a baseball, team traveling to another stadium, right? Or football or whatever. It's okay for them, but it's not okay for the lady to go away for the weekend with her girlfriends. Oh, that's different. That's whatever. My question is, why is that different? I'm about equality. I'm a realist too, right? I'm about equality. I'm not about double standards. But when you look at that situation about hypocrisy in a relationship, and let me throw that out there again. I'm going to throw that out there again. When you look at this, the irony is that some men will use money to attract women, but hate gold diggers. And some women use their bodies to attract men, but hate being viewed as sex objects. Can some people relate to that and understand that about double standards or hypocrisy in a relationship? And we could look at, and it could, where there is, we talk about hypocrisy in the dating realm, in relationships, about being, what do I want to say, about double standards, right? About being shallow in a relationship. And again, this is not, a right or wrong. It's looking at, there's so many men out there that are shallow, but then you ask a woman, I'm not going to date anyone small. I'm not going to date anyone that doesn't have muscles, that's ripped. I'm not dating anybody that makes less than $80,000 a year. You get me with the hypocrisy? But yet, calls the man shallow when he only wants a certain amount, a certain look, if you will, in a partner. So there's a lot of hypocrisy, a lot of double standards, and it tends to be, is it that, oh, I'm just choosy, but a man is shallow, or a man could say, hey, I'm just particular, but the woman is shallow. Again, no double standards, right? And this is where I want people to look at what in your life, throw them down in the chat below, people, to be able to look at, what works for you and what is going on. And are you able to look at, please like and subscribe, like and subscribe. What is going on? I'm trying to write a banner here. And to be able to look at, what is happening in that situation. There we go. Like and subscribe, people. Woo, there we go. It should be in red, though. I'll have to adjust it and see what's going on. There we go. I'm just playing around with the streaming app that I'm using. I might have to adjust the color. I don't know how to do that yet, but I'll try to do that. So, like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Again, my website, theartofrelationships.org. And a lot of people will, what are your experiences with a past partner or your current partner where there's hypocrisy, there's double standards, and also maybe I'm asking, it's easy to point out your partner, right? It's easy to point out your partner's hypocrisy or double standards, but I want to know what your own hypocrisy or double standards are. Hey, Greg, I know I'm a hypocrite, but that's the way I am. And you want your partner to be okay with that, right? And when somebody says, hey, I feel loved, I don't care if my partner feels loved or not. What? What? Again, you have to look up and design, the hypocrisy and what double standards are. And unfortunately, they're all over the place. We talk about in corporate world, in the workplace. We talk about in schools, right? The attractive people about double standards, right? Even in the court, the legal system, and we know it's corrupt, right? Let's be honest. But the more attractive you are, the less guilty that you're seen by juries. Do you know that? Even in social media, in the media, that if you're more attractive, you tend to be found less guilty than unattractive type of situation, okay? So that's where I want people to be able to understand the hypocrisy and what this looks like, and how do we change that, number one, in our own life, and what do we change that with our own individuality? Again, not looking at a right or wrong type of situation. We're looking at, double standards all over the place, right? Where, and what do we teach our kids as parents? Do we teach them to buy into double standards, right? And this is one reason where I even was teaching my daughter when she was a teenager. I know I'm old. I have an adult daughter. Teaching, even girls I worked with as clients, teens, whatever, to be careful, what you want, the Cinderella story, Snow White, the prince takes care of you, right? I do not ever advocate for women to depend on a man to be taken care of, right? Because there's a lot of good guys out there, a lot of good guys out there, right? But there are women that I deal with that, want the guy to take care of them financially, and the guy turns out to be an asshole. And now the woman gave up their career, maybe their education, they don't work, never worked in 5-10 years, and they feel stuck, right? And this is about the hypocrisy double standard. Oh, I wanted him to take care of me and all this stuff, but then when you find out you're not happy, and he might be abusive, maybe not, but you're not happy and you want out, and now, oh, I'm only staying for the kids. Oh, I can't afford to move out. I can't afford to be independent. I can't afford to support myself. And now the victimization comes up, right? Where you start playing the double standard, the hypocrisy, right? Well, I can't move. And it's about choices we make, and you're blaming the other person for your lack of independence. And this is where we look at in this situation that, hey, guys, same thing, right? I hear it. Oh, yeah, I'm paying all the bills. That's what we agreed on. But she's lazy. And I joke around, not lazy, just unmotivated, right? And where, they don't clean, do the laundry, what they agreed upon, but he's paying all the bills. So, that hypocrisy about be careful what you ask for and what you look for. And this is why, realistically, I don't want women or girls to depend on men financially, because what happens if you get stuck? And this goes for men too. What about you, that you may agree to pay for your lady, right? All their bills and stuff, but then, you find out they're not motivated. They don't love you like you thought they would. And now it might be easier, right? Because you're making money paying all the bills. You kick them out. Not suggesting that. And then I can't believe you're getting rid of me. That type of situation. That's where the victimization comes in, and playing the victim role and bashing one another. And it's easy when, the hypocrisy, which I'm talking about, and the double standards hit. When you look at divorce situations, okay, and I try to prevent divorce situations. Let's be honest, right? I don't want them, but I also don't want people to be together that are miserable, that are unhealthy with each other, because that's not healthy for your kids too. Not healthy at all. Sometimes being divorced, being separated is healthier for the kids than staying together in a toxic, unhealthy situation, okay? But in divorce situations, right? Let's be honest. How many people will they'll bash their soon-to-be ex to the courts, to their attorney, to their friends, to family? But then when asked, what have you done to cause problems, to cause the relationship to go sideways? I haven't done anything. I'm like, it's rare that a person has not done anything, okay? That's where I want people to be able to join in and to be able to look at the reality about, hey, what do you do in a situation? What have you done? Are you able to go through that, okay? Are you able to understand those situations? Okay, I couldn't imagine having to try to help people who can't help themselves. That's a tough job. And I appreciate that comment. Well, it's number one, I look at, I don't allow people to victimize themselves. And at the beginning, I announced I have a lot of trauma, a lot of grief experience too. But there's a difference between that type of situation, being a survivor versus being a victim, okay? And a lot of people out there going through a divorce, and let's be real, the double standards. He was miserable, she was this, he was that. And when you ask, what did you do to cause the divorce? All of a sudden, pretty soon, they go numb. They go quiet. They're silent. Or, I didn't do anything. They flipped the script right away. Well, they did this. That's not what I asked you. I'm asking you, what was your role in causing the divorce in a relationship? And it's ironic when you hear about double standards. Yeah, I messed up. I screwed up. That's talking about emotional maturity, and that's talking about getting rid of hypocrisy and double standards, right? And about blaming everybody else for the situation that maybe you had a role in. Now, there's a difference, right? Rape survivors, and I've worked with too many, right? That's never their fault. Never, okay? That's different. But in the old school, if she wasn't dressed this way, if she, wasn't out with friends at this hour, if she wasn't drunk, if you weren't this way, hell no. The only thing 100% of the time that causes rape is a rapist. That's it. Plain and simple, okay? So that's where I want people to understand and look at the devastation and look at there's a difference between a survivor and playing the victim role, woe is me, then what are you doing to take yourself out of that relationship, right? About a comment came earlier about taking responsibility and accountability. And that's where I think, well, let's be real, that's where a lot of hypocrisy and double standards come from in the love relationship, where one person feels they're entitled because they're a man, or, they're a woman, so they have different entitlement. You get me? Different rules, different standards. And my question is, why? Where people pick and choose what works for them. Is it to have power, get their way, be selfish in a relationship? Now, a lady, needs gas, right? So it's late at night, single, getting gas, independent woman, whatever. But there's also a safety feature, right? I told you, excuse me, I can't even talk. I'm a realist. There we go. I'm not in the double standards, that type of situation. But you're also looking at safety. And, you don't want your lady to be victimized. You don't want them to be hurt, to be mugged, to be kidnapped, raped. No, not at all. So, when you're talking about being a realist and looking at the real world out there versus, safety concerns, right? That's where the difference comes in. When we're talking about different rules in a relationship, if a woman can cook, why can't a man cook? If one, man washes dishes, why can't a woman wash dishes? You get me? And there's a lot of people that will look at a neighbor, right? My lady loves cutting the grass, and there's a neighbor a couple houses down. Well, if I had a man, I wouldn't be cutting the grass at all. And my lady looks at her, she wants to cut the grass, so I'm not going to say no. I argue with her, let me cut, I'm going to cut, type of situation. But then you have a single lady a couple houses from us that will bash and ridicule and judge, but then she's single. You get me? A lot of people have these double standards, what a man should do, what a woman should do, but then they flip the script when it's not always to their advantage. And I'm not about having a power trip in a relationship. A woman has more power than a man, or a man has more power than a woman. Not at all. I'm about equality. I'm about taking each other into consideration. I'm about common courtesy. And that's what I promote. I'm not about people having different rules, different standards, for one another in a relationship. And that's where I want people to be able to, look at and to be able to, look at what's going on. Like I said, I call people out in my office where I'm at right now, clients, couples, where I'm looking at, hey, that's double standards. How come she is not allowed to do that, but you can? Well, I'm a man, Greg. It's different. No, tell me. And I want to educate, not bash, and looking at, is it out of selfishness? Is it out of how we're raised and how society is versus what works best for the relationship or the marriage? In a situation, if you want things, you want to be a power trip, you need to be with someone that's okay with that, regardless if you're a man, a woman, that type of situation. And I'm going to throw this up one more time, people. What I shared on Facebook, I need to share it on other social media. I'm sharing this. I borrowed this. I can't take credit for it. So the hypocrisy is, the same thing with people bashing everybody else. The irony is that some men will use money absolutely to attract women. Their cars, their houses, how much money they make, but hate gold diggers. And some women use their bodies to attract men, but hate being viewed as sex objects, okay? So how much truth is into that? Quite a bit. Is everybody like that? Not at all. Like I said, in the dating realm, going back to that, okay? The dating realm with hypocrisy, where women will call, maybe us men, oh, we're shallow, we're all this. But then you ask a woman what she wants, and she'll say, I'm not dating anyone that's under 5'10". I'm not dating anybody that's bald. I'm not dating anybody that makes under $80,000 or $100,000 because I deserve that. And you're like, what? But you're not shallow. You're just choosy, and you have standards. But a man is shallow, doesn't have standards. You understand the hypocrisy and double standards there are out there in society. And when they start rolling into relationships, rolling into marriages, I'm sure a lot of you watching right now or listening can relate to this. Maybe you're one of those that has a lot of, you're hypocritical. You have double standards, or your partner does, or maybe in a prior relationship, there were a lot of double standards out there, right? Hey, you know what? You get to make all the decisions in the household versus what goes on. Now, we'll go out there, another example out in the real world, right? The lady, a lot of women want the man to be the provider, the protector, right? So you want the man to be the provider, pay all the bills, do all this. But then when he starts making all decisions, you get pissed. Why? You wanted a provider, you wanted the protector, you wanted the man to lead. I'm laughing because you know where that goes, right? But then what happens? Double standards, right? Well, then he needs to ask me permission. He needs to clue me in. He needs to ask my thoughts, my opinions. But you wanted him to take the lead. So what is the difference? And that's where I look at. You want the man to be a provider, a protector. What does that mean to you? And I ask people right here, right behind me in my office, right? I ask people, what does that mean for you? Because I want people to understand and have, because one person has an idea of what the provider, protector means, and another one has this meaning behind it. So that's where you have to look at. Again, I'm not about double standards. The man needs to pay all the bills, be the protector, but then he needs to let me make all the rules and decision makings of the house. Huh? What? Again, a great prime example about double standards and hypocrisies, right? And I want you out there to be able to listen, to be able to learn in what works for you. Let's be honest, as humans, most of us want our way all the time. Who doesn't? But the problem is when we expect to get our way all the time, or we view it that we're entitled to get our way all the time because we're a woman, because we're a man, because we're whatever, right? Because we're president, because we're whatever, CEO, we're this, we're that. We're a movie star, a rock star, so I'm entitled to get my way all the time. No. Again, double standards, a lot of hypocrisy, and a lot of entitlement surrounds all this. So look in your own life. You as an individual, are you practicing hypocrisy, double standards in your own life? Number two is your partner, and are you able to heal those, get rid of them, and talk about them? But again, it comes down to expectations, right, people? You need to understand what those expectations are, what you're looking for in a relationship, what you're looking for in a marriage, about the rules, about hierarchy in a relationship. I'm all about equality. I told people that. I say that almost every episode. I'm all about equality. I'm all about viewing each other as the same level, not one is superior than the other, right? Now, I'm talking as a whole. You might have one of you is a better cook. One of you does home improvement better. We have this, but I'm talking value, that you see the other one as less valuable than yourself. That's where problems create. And then you're looking for problems in a relationship because what follows is resentment, not feeling loved, not feeling appreciated, feeling devalued. I don't want that, okay? So share this on your timeline, your episode. Check out my other episodes, other videos. Most likely the easiest way is on YouTube at LoveGuruGreg. And make sure you like, subscribe, anything I can do to help people out. Check out my website, theartofrelationships.org. And again, peace and love to everybody out there. And again, thank you so much for viewing the Art of Relationship show. And again, it's live every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern time, which is Detroit, New York time, okay? Peace and love again, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.